Hi guys, and welcome back. Today I am embarking on some Taito repairs. Taito, I say Taito. Comment down below, is it Taito with an A or Taito with an I? I think it's Taito. Anyway, I am embarking on some. And here's another one. Is it QIX, as in KICKS, or is it QIX, as in QIX? I guess. I don't know. I've heard it both ways, QIX and KIX. Which is it? Comment below. Let me know, because I'm not 100% sure. I say QIX most of the time. Sometimes I catch myself saying KIX. So, yeah, pardon me for flip-flopping back and forth on that. Anyway, I have 3 sets. One of the sets is a parts board. One of the main boards is a parts board because it's just too little too far gone with the acid battery, the battery damage. I keep wanting to say acid. It's not acid. Battery is an alkaline. So what I've been doing first and foremost is going through and figuring the ROM sets. Let's get software out of the way. I've got one board with a good complete set of QIX chips. Okay, and I'm working on a second ROM board, which needs a few more, and I'm actually erasing some of the chips right now to go ahead and program a complete set for this one. And that one I would have to just completely make a set for it, because some of these had, I think this one had a complete set, but they weren't all good chips, and this one was complete, but they were not all good either. And then that one had about 6 EPROMs on it, and the rest of them were missing. So I'm using the chips that were on that to complete these 2 sets. So that one isn't really going to have any ROMs on it. I might have a couple left over after I'm done sorting this all out. So yeah, that's the first thing, is to make sure the software is good. And then I have to go through, I got to pull up the wiring diagram from this, and I have to make a harness to hook up these boards. So that'll be what I'm doing after I do all the programming and all that good stuff. So yeah, there you go. So I will report back once all of the programming, the chips are all squared away, and my harness is completed. It took me the better part of all day to hook this up and make this harness. It's quite elaborate. Well, it's not that. I mean, it's just time consuming. Got all my power. This is the speakers. ROM power. I do have a, this goes to J16, which I believe is this guy. And that will go to my controller, J16. That goes to my controller. This is video, power, 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 speakers. So video and controls. And then this is like coin door and auto up and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, this one right here is coin door. So I've got this QIX board plugged in. You can see it's locked. All of the LEDs are on. So it is dead. And this is board set number 1. RAM 1, ROM 1, and audio 1. So first things first is on this set, I'm going to focus on this board because it's got a little bit of corrosion, I think. And it's got all of these 4116s that need to be looked at. It's got a lot of RAM on it. Fortunately, it's all socketed, so we can test all of that and go from there. See where we're at. Yeah, but yeah, today was all doing this, and I ran another one off of this power, and this, if I'm doing Zookeeper, this will plug into the little auxiliary ROM board to power it. But we don't have to worry about that right now because this is not Zookeeper. So, like I said, what I'd already done is I have already verified all of these ROMs are good. I went through and did that. And that's all I've done other than make my harness. So, alright, yeah. So tomorrow will be this board, refurb. Okay, so I'm heating up the desoldering gun. I just maintained this thing. Took it apart, cleaned it, put a new valve in it. So that's good to go. I used the Inquisitor on all of the RAM chips. I found 3 bad 4116 and one of the 2114s was bad. I have removed all of the RAM sockets, all 32 of them, and I'm getting ready to replace all of those. I pulled a couple of the other sockets out. And I'm getting ready to remove this connector right here because it's got some fuzzy green in there. That's got to go. So we're replacing this connector and all of the RAM sockets at the least. So that's where we're at. Alright, so I got all of the RAM cleared, and I got these two sockets cleared. I got this removed. I removed a few parts right here. Needs to be cleaned up a little bit. I'll put in a new jumper. There's a transistor right here that I'll replace. Yeah, so. Yeah, I'm going to wash this board actually. I want to take it inside and wash it really good. And I want to remove this little bit of crust that's here. So I'm going to do a little bit more maintenance and then this thing will be ready to get washed and put back together. And this is what a little bit of wet sanding with some 3000 grit sandpaper, 3000 grit. Little wet sanding. I spray some alcohol on here and sand it. It doesn't even take the silk screening off. I did all down through here. Cleans it up really nicely and doesn't really remove anything. 3000 grit. So now I'm going to take this in, spray it really good, give it a good thorough wash, and then we'll be ready to repopulate this baby. Okay, and we're pretty much done. The only thing that I don't like about this board is I want to replace these headers, which I don't have any. I have them on order. I got some coming. But I do want to replace the headers on these. But look at this. This is replaced. Nice. I replaced that transistor. I replaced this header and jumper. All the sockets, of course. And a couple random other sockets. This one and this one. Everything's all cleaned up nicely. Yeah, this is where that was at. Little residue there, a little lacquer thinner will take care of that. Well, yeah, so this thing's ready to be repopulated. And then we'll see what happens. All right. Well, this board set acts very strangely. This customer sent along these RAM modules, right? And one of them is bad. I didn't want to remove this, so I actually just took the chip out of here and put it in there. This one's no good though. This one does not work. But this board that I did all of this work to, new sockets, everything, I got it hooked up. This is board set number 1. RAM 1, ROM 1, and audio 1. I made a cable. I actually made this cable. I kind of goofed up on this end and I didn't make it to where it wraps around like that. But it's okay. Next time I make one, I'll make sure that I make it to where it gives that strain relief. But yeah, I made this cable because I wanted a fresh new one. And I got this thing rolling. Only problem is, so far, this sound, there's a sound issue, as in really no sound. It's coin, there's coin. And the sound processing is not working properly. I can hear the faint trails of what the sound should be. Kind of. If you hear listen to the speakers. You can hear the sounds are actually being processed, but they're not coming out right. Is that just bad amps? It could be bad amps, actually. I don't know right now. But the sounds are there. They're being created, I can tell. We might have a bad amp. We might have bad amps. It's quite possible. But yeah, how about that? So this board is awesome. Yeah, it will not run. This thing will not work if you don't have this in there. I've even got, I made a battery pack. And I'm thinking about, I made this battery pack and I'm, damn it, thinking about hooking it up and putting it in and seeing if I can just get away with using a battery pack. I don't know. I put a blocking diode in line with it. Yeah, this works good. Other than that sound issue. This is such a cool game. I love this game. All right, well, I got to figure out this sound issue. I think I'm going to try amps. I'm going to try 1 amp at a time because it sounds like it's a bad amp. Because I can hear the sounds being processed. They're just not making it to the speaker. So, yeah, I don't know. It may not be that, but it may very well possibly be that. I don't know exactly right now. I did go through and resolder all of these headers because they were all garbage. All of these headers on here were cracked. Even these ones. I want to replace these. I don't have these right now though. But yeah, this board's sweet. New sockets everywhere. All these sockets are new. All right, yeah. I'm done for the night. I'm very happy with this. Maybe I'll try another one of these boards. See what happens. I kind of just want to stick to one set at a time. I don't know. We'll see. All right. I'll be back. Okay, so kind of messing around, and I was hell-bent on figuring out how to set this up using the battery. And I was able to do that, to where now I've just got regular CMOS RAM in here. And I've got it running. And you'll see I can turn it off. And the memory is protected and it's being held by the battery. Now if you do this and you do like a alkaline regular, you can put lithiums in here too. You have to put a blocking diode in line, and I've got it underneath all this heat shrink. You have to block current from coming back to the battery when it's running. So you just put the anode towards the battery and the cathode towards the system, and that'll block current coming back to the battery when the system is on. But here, I'll turn it back on and you'll see it holds all the settings and everything. So there you go. It's kind of an ordeal to do that. And I will document right now how to do it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to unhook this battery. So let's turn it off. Let's unplug it and plug in my soldering iron and turn it on. Turn it on, heat it up. Okay, soldering iron's getting hot. And I want to just remove this negative terminal here. Okay, there. Battery is now unhooked. Turn that off. We no longer have battery. So now this thing will boot up, but it will give you the error message. So okay, and fire it up, and you'll see it'll come up to this error message. Where it says you got to open the coin door and turn the power off and back on. Memory failure. If you don't have a battery hooked up, you're dead in the water right here. So what it's telling you to do is open the coin door and turn the power back on and off. So I'm going to simulate opening the coin door. I have this. This is just a jumper. And what you want to do is, and I don't like how I should have had this the other way. But whatever. That's opening the coin door right there. And now we're going to turn it off. Okay. And now we'll turn it back on. But it won't work, I don't think. Yeah, it worked. See, now it moved on to this. Yeah. So now I've got two grounds here. These are both grounded. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ground pin 2, which is no, I'm just going to tap pin 2, which is, or pin 1, which is advance the test, because I'm on English. So I want to tap pin 1. There you go. And I'm just going to tap through until the game comes up. I am tapping pin 1 of this header right here. This one right here. Until the game comes up. So that's how you have to cycle through all of this nonsense. This is basically your open coin door. You just jump, you put a jumper on J19 here. And it just connects pin 1 to pin 2. That's opening the coin door. And then you turn the power off, cycle the power, give it a second to power down. Power it back up, and then it'll come up to that screen. Now if I turn it off, the memory will lose because it's not, you know, now it's going to come back up to that English, you know, the setup screen, location setup screen. See, it didn't hold those because it didn't hold the settings because I don't have the battery hooked up. So basically you've just got to have this jumpered until you have the settings saved in RAM with the battery. Then you don't need this thing jumped. So there you go. A little bit of information. I still have to fix the audio on this one. So yeah, I just wanted to do that. Now I have a hunch. This is the one of these NVRAMs that I said was no good because when I tried using this, I'll show you what it does. This is why I thought it was no good. It comes up to the error message. And my hunch is now it just doesn't have any settings saved in it. See, here it is, the error message. Whereas this one right here, when I plugged it in, the game just worked. So I'm thinking that this one already has a write saved in it with settings for Taito, whereas this one doesn't. And I just thought it didn't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through now, simulating opening the coin door. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to simulate opening the coin door right here. Okay. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to let it power down for a second. And then I'm going to fire it back up. And I'm thinking I should be able to advance through again. Yep. There's the language screen. So I'm thinking if I now advance through until the game starts, right here, put this up. Now the settings should be written into this, right? So that it works now. That's what I'm thinking. So what I want to do now is undo this memory protect, because I shouldn't need that now. And I'm going to turn it off and then let it power down and see if it comes up and works. If that's my hunch anyway, is that now I have settings written into this. So let's try it. Yep, that's exactly what it is. And notice I no longer have the battery hooked up. I removed the battery. So that's what it is. This chip is not bad. It just didn't have anything written into it, and that threw me off because this one did work right out of the box. Well, it's not out of the box. The customer sent it. And this one had already been written, a file into it. Settings were already written into it, whereas settings were not written into this one yet. But now they are, and it works. So that's really cool. I'm learning about this system. This is my first time ever messing with this QIX Zookeeper setup. And it's pretty strange. You have your video processor board here, which the video processor I want to look at the schematic and study the schematic on this a little bit. This is a CRT controller chip. This does all of the this does all of the beam scanning and everything on the CRT. It controls the CRT beam. Then you have this processor, which is the video processor, which accesses all of this RAM and stuff. And I think, and I'm going to say that this is the data processor, which I'm sure also accesses these RAM. But I think that this CPU is the one that speaks to this NVRAM. I think. I'm not sure. I need to look at the schematic. But these right here, this row right here is that's the video ROM that's accessed by this guy. And this is the program ROM, which is accessed by the data CPU. And then you have the audio CPU right here. This is audio. It's very strange. And then you have like a external, you can communicate externally with this through RS-232. And that's this chip right here is the RS-232 communications chip through this port for whatever that would be used for. And then your audio processor here, this is the audio ROM. These are audio ROMs right here. Yeah. And you got this long cable. Weird setup. Kind of a weird setup. Yeah. Video processor, ROM, data processor, and sound processing. Pretty cool. All right, on to the audio issues. Okay, still working on no sound. I removed the 3 PIAs because I wanted to eliminate those as a problem. I can throw those in the Inquisitor. I just put new ones in there. I got the old ones right here, and I actually marked their location. But I put the new PIAs in, and there was no change. I've put the original 406s back in the board as well as the original 1408 because I don't think those have anything to do with it. There's an LM324 that I did replace right here. And I replaced the amps against my better judgment because when you mess with the amps, you can hear the speakers. So, whatever. Anyway, I got to probing around a little bit, just kind of in general, and I came to a 161 right here. This is 100% bad. Now, I don't know what it does. I want to go look on the schematic and see what this 161 does because I think this is the problem. It's definitely no good. So I want to go look at the schematic and see what the 161 does. Because I've swapped in a 6802. No change. And yeah, so no change on these. No change on these parts. No change when these were done. And then I come across this 161 that's just flat out bad. So I kind of want to know what that does in the circuit on this board. I was kind of anything from over here I was just kind of not paying attention to in this area because this is all this is the data processor, which doesn't really have anything much to do with over here, and not that I know of. So I just overlooked this 161. So yeah. Anyway, I want to check out what that does. Yeah, that 161 doesn't have anything to do with it. That provides the baud rate for this RS-232 communications chip through this switch. I actually turned all of those switches off, and the signals look perfectly fine coming out of that at 161. So one thing I noticed, the 245 that was in this socket had a bent leg. And I had tried a different 245 in here though, and it still didn't work. But this socket is very corroded. I don't know if this camera is really doing it justice. It's a bad socket. So I'm going to replace this socket. I removed the 244s because I was just going to test them. I was just kind of getting lazy, basically, and just wanted to throw them in a tester really quick. Anyway, I'm going to put sockets in, put them back in the board. These chips tested fine that I removed. I'm going to replace this socket and then socket all of these. And I removed this transistor as well. It looked a little bit corroded, so I just removed it. It's a 3904. It's no big deal to replace. So I think after doing that, this thing will work. That was it. Replaced that socket, new chip, and these are all the original 244s, the original 138 I removed. These are the original PIAs I removed and socketed. Hey, it's nice and socketed now. Everything's socketed. So there you have it. A complete QIX PCB. Or QIX, if you will, if you would like. I'll tell you what, I do want to hook up my harness right here, my controller harness. It goes right here, and I do want to play this game because I love this game. We're going to play it. We're going to play it with the sideways monitor, and that's okay. But that'll be the last test. Awesome. Awesome. Getting ready to do some soldering and put my connector on. Yeah, I just wanted to chime in about how I went around and kind of chased my tail a little bit, and this thing was driving me nuts because all the parts were good except for that one with it had a broken leg on this 245 that I didn't notice. It wouldn't have worked anyway because that socket was bad. That socket was the huckleberry on this thing the whole time. So, but I do like that so much of this is now socketed. It just makes future repairs easier. I did keep the 2 amps that I removed. I actually put them back in my stock. So, yeah, there you go. So I'm going to go ahead and wire and hook up my the harness so that I can play QIX. Here it is. So we'll go ahead and plug this in. It goes in this connector right here. And we'll play some QIX. Alright. Took me a minute because I had one of the wires backwards. And it took me a minute to figure out what was going on. But I think we are ready to play some game here. So, without further ado, let's get the tripod out and play QIX or QIX, whatever you want to call it. All right. I'm not very good. Oh, you jerk! Ooh, I get to put in my name? Well. Let's do my initials. I am one of the all-time greatest. One more game. Right. Oh, come on now. Aww. All right. Excellent game. I really enjoy this. There you have it, folks. So, this set, what did we do? Well, we figured out how it works. I got it all wired up. I made my new harness. It's all good. It's running off of 2 power supplies. I'm running off of a switcher, and I'm running off of that. I think I'm powering this board off of my AR, and I'm powering these 2 off of the switcher, I think is how I'm doing it. I made a new cable. I made a new interconnect cable that goes underneath. I replaced all of these sockets, all of the RAM sockets, and 3 of these RAM. Remember, there were 3 bad RAM. There was 1 bad RAM up here. And I replaced a socket here and a socket here. Cleaned everything. I cleaned this board very well. Remember, I cleaned off all of the little bit of corrosion that was here. I replaced this header. The header underneath. I replaced that. Resoldered all of the connectors on. I resoldered all the connectors on the whole set. This board, I went through the whole EEPROM set, and some of the ROMs were wrong, and I made sure that it was all QIX version A. So it's a complete matching set. It was kind of jumbled. There was some of them that were regular QIX set 1, some of them were QIX set 3. I made it all the same set. And I actually had to use some of the EEPROMs that were on one of these other boards. This one right here. I had to use some of the EEPROMs that came on that board, because I think 2 of the ROMs that were on here were no good. Sounds like a snake. Yeah, 2 of them were actually bad and would not dump, so I had to actually just throw them out and replace them with ROMs that were provided. So, put labels on everything. So that's that board. And then this one is almost completely resocketed. Remember, I was chasing that, but I replaced the amps. Transistor here. Socketed these 4066s, socketed the DAC. Replaced the LM324, just because. And then sockets everywhere, and a new 245. And that's all you need to do to get your QIX. Get your QIX. So now we got a complete working set. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this one. I want to thank everyone for watching. If you get some happiness, some joy, and some valuable information out of what I'm doing here, consider visiting me over on Patreon or channel memberships. Seriously though, folks, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Subscribe if you're not. It doesn't cost anything, guys. And we will see you on the next Classic Arcade Repair. Actually, this customer sent me 5 sets. 3 QIX sets and 2 Zookeepers. So I will have a Zookeeper coming up. Appreciate it, everybody. See you on the next one. Bye for now.